In September of 2022, Tate Hieronymus released the first episode of the Sasquatch, A Search for SABE series. And now, for a little over 2 years, Tate continues to create new episodes for this series. But let's find out a little more about the team. During the SABE series, the team has traveled to different states to research Sasquatch. But so far, out of the states they have traveled to, which ones are favorites?
My favorite state, I would have to say, to research in was, it always comes back to Bluff Creek, Northern California. California is one of my favorite spots to go to. Oregon would have to be up there. Probably Washington is my second favorite. That would be my, definitely second favorite place. Outside of that, Oregon third. So that would be my absolute favorite places to research. Just the PNW in general is an amazing area.
I've gotten good results out of California and Oregon. I think California is the birthplace of so much of the legend that we're pursuing, and getting to know California better has been kind of neat. But I really do like Oregon. We're in Oregon now. Oregon's kind of that sleeper neighbor of California, and I think equal efforts given, per day, I think Oregon has really delivered some interesting things to us. So I don't know, I think a lot of the states are cool to go around in, but it comes down to probably California and Oregon.
For things to run smoothly while in the field, communication with one another is vital in order to be successful. What is the team's opinion on the collaboration for the SABE series?
I think that there's a lot of collaboration and a lot of acknowledgement towards certain people's specific skills. People shine in their own unique way, and that kind of completes the package of professionals required to deliver evidence of a primate in North America. So to have somebody like Damon Irons, who's really good with technology and has the means to get things like thermal drones, but then also has the presence of mind to, okay, cool, the tracker found the tracks, but I'm going to cast them, and really, this is the hair that I want to make sure nobody drops, and let me just pull that aside and have it analyzed later. Damon really crosses his T's and dots his I's, and has really been able to secure a lot of the evidence that we've come across in the field, and really just deliver it to the professionals in the best way possible. I think I have a good amount of skills of observation, of seeing wildlife, of predicting wildlife behavior, and some beginner level tracking skills, and just knowing where animal sign is versus isn't, and that's helped kind of optimize our searches. And then Tate has this ability to think of original ideas on the fly. And I think that creative mindset applied to research has done a lot of incredible innovation in the field that could lead to results later. And then Jonathan has this he's an active, motivated spirit to get out, put boots on the ground, and cover distances, but also has a need to rationalize evidence being found or why things are the way that they are. So, to sit down with somebody like Jonathan and understand why things like the Patterson-Gimlin film matter and are important, and then kind of apply some of those ideas of analyzing evidence into our field research, acknowledging that tracks found in this area mean resources that the creature relies on, and over time, we've just sat back and forth, just sat down and had conversations about how how things within this field make sense and how we should adapt our research to it. I think the whole group is really involved with that too. And I don't know, I like working with people that are willing to have a discussion about it, because we all understand that we should talk it out and come up with the best plan possible at that time, because none of us can do this forever, and we want to make sure that the research that we're doing now is efficient and delivers results. And so respecting each other and looking for the best way to do things is going to lead to results.
We all work together really well. We collaborate. We talk to each other, try to come up with like reasonable answers to anything that we find in the field. And everybody is very level-headed, and we get along really well. And it's just always a good time. I trust everybody that I work with. You can't ask for a better group of people to be in the field with.
Slightly ridiculous, comedic, annoying at times, but the thing I respect about this SABE series and the collaborators that have all been involved with us is it's not fake. It's not like we're talking about like, oh, well, we're gonna get the expedition of a century going while the cameras are rolling, and then when they turn off, then we go back to our 4-star hotels and eating filet mignon. Like there's nothing about it that's fake. And I guess I've had a taste of some people that really, through going to conferences and stuff, like most people have that level of legitimacy and passion for the subject, but I guess I'm thankful that I'm not that small percentage that I've been exposed to that don't really have their head in it. It's more about an image or persona and selling an identity rather than a genuine adventure and curiosity for a subject on the fringe. Like we could be sharing this the way that we are sharing it, which is like we're passionate about it. We think that there's something out here. We want the world to kind of know that there's more than what you see on the Travel Channel or Discovery Networks or something that's just made in a very shallow and superficial way. But then there's the other alternative where those people are making that shallow and superficial content and would rather be a Indiana Jones impersonator than an actual investigator. And just like knowing that we're not that is a good feeling, and knowing that the people that I collaborate with, none of them are like that, but are in it for the right reasons. Like, that's cool.
It's always a good time. You never know what's going to happen. Somebody's always playing guitar, or someone's like making jokes, or you never know what somebody's doing. One of my favorite things to do on the trips is to play this board game that I got. It's pretty fun, so I'll try and wrangle everybody in to play a fun board game while we're out there, and we just have a good time. We'll just listen to music and other podcasts and stuff like that, and swim in the creek and just go on day walks and stuff and just have a good time.
It's as flat as a tortilla, but it's wide and long.
No. They tried to fart, but I pushed something out. I didn't want it to be.
Dang. Sounds like you got the worst problem right now. Did you hear that? Guys, we got a response.
Those are unfakeable. I can't do it. The data inside the footprints that are collected all across North America have multiple anatomical features that can be seen in these footprints. Is the same hoaxer running around North America doing the same things? Are we seeing the same bone structures and dermal ridges that we find in other footprints? Are these all hoaxers collaborating on a mass scale to try? So much slobber. It's so much slobber.
But the thing I respect about this SABE series and the collaborators that have all been involved with us is it's not fake. You know, it's not like we're talking about like, oh, well, we're gonna get the expedition of a century going while the cameras are rolling, and then when they turn off, then we go back to our 4-star hotels and eating filet mignon. You know, like there's nothing about it that's fake. And I guess I've had a taste of some people that really, you know, through going to conferences and stuff, you know, like most people have that level of legitimacy and passion for the subject, but I guess I'm thankful that I'm not that small percentage that I've been exposed to that don't really have their head in it. It's more about an image or persona and selling an identity rather than a genuine adventure and curiosity for a subject on the fringe. You know, like we could be sharing this the way that we are sharing it, which is like we're passionate about it. We think that there's something out here. We want the world to kind of know that there's more than what you see on the Travel Channel or Discovery Networks or something that's just made in a very shallow and superficial way. But then there's the other alternative where those people are making that shallow and superficial content and would rather be a Indiana Jones impersonator than an actual investigator. And just like knowing that we're not that is a good feeling, you know, and knowing that the people that I collaborate with, none of them are like that, but are in it for the right reasons. Like, that's cool.
When you spend time and effort researching and trying to elicit activity from Sasquatch, sometimes you get lucky and other times you don't. Throughout the series, the team has pulled results from the field. But what were those results?
I'd have to say for me, the wood knock in Idaho was pretty big. That was that knock was unsolicited. I don't think we were doing knocks at the time. We were kind of just hanging around camp, and all of a sudden, we paused and we heard a clear knock. So that was pretty cool. Predating the SABE series was in Laird Meadow when myself, Jonathan Easley, Eli Watson, and Alex Petikoff, we were all in Laird Meadow, and we had a road group: Terry, Stevie, Ron Reed, and Damon, and I think there was somebody else on the road group. And Alex and I had something thrown at us, followed by a knock further in the distance where the object was thrown at us.
The summer of 2022 comes to mind. The moment where we found what looked like bipedal tracks along the road was like a really important step for me, because you'd always find like a scuff mark or something on a trail, but to find like a trackway of something that it's got long feet and is like almost certainly bipedal, like that just those look like a Bigfoot trackway. And I just remember thinking highly of that whole year. We're, you know, pulling hairs, mystery hairs from various places, and that was just kind of a cool experience. I think just because you don't find tracks as often as you think when you get involved with this, and then looking at a trackway and saying, yeah, that was probably a Bigfoot. Like, that's a really cool feeling. I've heard a bit. You know, the vocalization I heard here is kind of like predates SABE by a little bit, but there have been wood knocks, and the wood knocks that come to mind, the one that we didn't expect in Idaho was kind of a surprise. We were just in an area kind of on intuition, not really any like hard recorded sightings, and just hearing that real crisp knock was really cool and unexpected. I'm trying to think if there's been some knocks here and there, some recorded, some not. But one of the things that impressed me, or at the time at least got me really excited, is right after we found that trackway along the Go Road, and then started to hear whoops from the side of the road, and we still to this day we don't know if we were listening to a flagellated owl or a Bigfoot, you know. But just hearing them right after, you know, as we're staring at tracks on the ground was kind of like an exciting moment. But I don't know, those are the two that come to mind at this minute.
Hear that? Yeah, what was that?
Okay, tell me you heard that.
I heard that. Was it you?
Shh, no, dude, that was a giant tree that just came down.
When working in the field of the Sasquatch topic, opportunities sometimes knock, no pun intended. But the chance to get to work with known people in the community can be a great honor and sometimes create lasting friendships. Who were some of the team's favorite guest appearances?
I think getting to know Cliff Barrickman a little bit more is really cool. He's just so open to sharing what he knows about the subject, sharing what he knows about hair analysis. Jeff Meldrum, very much the same way. Like meeting those guys was really neat, because they could have just wrote us off and told us to, you know, bug off and make our documentaries somewhere else, you know. But like Cliff talking about foot morphology and how that relates to alleged Bigfoot tracks found through time and space was really cool. But then Jeff Meldrum speaking about hair analytics and kind of where that's going to be, where that can take Bigfoot research, you know, now and in the future, like that was kind of neat. I'd say just a lot of the field researchers too, new to this or been in it longer than we have, just sharing what they know has been really insightful. Like a lot of the Bluff Creek guys.
I've worked with people in the past like Cliff Barrickman and Bobo and stuff. Yeah, getting to hang out with Cliff again and seeing Meldrum and going to his lab in Idaho, that was really cool. People like Paul Graves and Tristan Yolton and Brent Dill, they were pretty cool to meet and hang out with and work with in the field. And yeah, it's always a good time to hang out with those kind of people and pick their brain on the subject.
The team has researched in places like Florida, Iowa, California, Idaho, and so on. But what is the team's opinion of the hardest place to research Sasquatch in?
Hardest place to research in my opinion, Florida for me. It's hot, it's humid. I hate mosquitoes, and there's a ton of mosquitoes out here. It's not my favorite place to research. So it's definitely on the bottom of my list of places I'd want to go researching. So, that's just, Florida's not easy. A lot of places are hard to get to unless you have swamp buggies or airboats. And then there's gators and moccasins and panthers and mosquitoes and the humidity. It's a very brutal place.
The hardest place to research for me does come down to Florida, probably. On the Pacific Northwest, I think Bluff Creek has been hard because Bluff Creek is, they're difficult roads and difficult Bigfoot to work with if they're out there, you know, like they're somewhat conditioned to 50 plus years of dedicated Bigfoot research. So it's really hard to impress them, entrap them into coming into camp and revealing their behaviors. Like they're very desensitized. Florida's like more of a difficulty because it's so expansive and there's so many deterrents, like, you know, high temperatures or mosquitoes or dangerous animals, dangerous reptiles, alligators and snakes. So they all kind of present their challenges in a way. I probably would say, like, I mean, as much as I want to say about my comfort level and how difficult Florida was because of bugs and heat, Bluff Creek has been difficult because we've put so much time and effort in here, and, you know, had a couple of strong years, a couple of weak years, and I think psychologically it takes its toll, you know, because there's always anxiety driving on those roads, and there's always the potential for disaster. Like, you know, our Bluff Creek 19-mile hike, you know, that we had to pull out of, like, is a testament to, you know, like the brutality of the mountains, the rock, the difficulty of this of that area. So I don't know, it comes down between Florida and Bluff Creek. They're both pretty difficult to inhabit it.
The SABE series is still an ongoing series, and there's still plenty of mystery to peel the curtain back from. But in the short time of filming the series, what does the SABE series mean to the researchers involved?
I think the SABE series has been an opportunity to put my opinions out there on the subject that I'm very passionate about. I think that it's been an opportunity to practice certain skill sets, to explore what it's like to be a narrator or get certain shots and work in cinematography and attempt certain things like wildlife videography. I think it's been like a good grassroots endeavor to kind of pursue certain hobbies and lifestyles and maybe even careers that I have an interest in. But I think it's also been a focus point in really just like dedicating certain time to go to certain places and understand them better and see if that leads to delivering results. You know, like to come out here to Mount Hood 3 years now, to be in Bluff Creek for 4 years. Like, I could have just as easily drifted to some place in New Mexico or back down to Texas and Arkansas, but I think those subsequent years of visiting certain areas is kind of like, now I have an understanding of the ecology of this area and kind of Bigfoot's place in it, more so than beforehand or not doing this, you know. So I do appreciate that continued exposure to certain areas, because with each return there's a new lesson learned.
SABE means to me honesty. It's why I started the series. I wanted to do a series that was honest in everything that you see. Nothing is faked, nothing is over exaggerated, nothing is played out to make you think something's actually happening. And everything, the way I do the edits, I edit everything in order. Like, I don't put something that happened on the first day at the very end of the episode to build up that suspense. I'm going to put it at the beginning, how it happened. So I kind of film in order and edit in order. And that's just kind of how I like it. I think it stays true to what actually happened. So you kind of see, oh, this happened this day, and this, you know, the first day in the second day and third day they didn't get anything, or maybe the second day they got something. So I like to do that, honestly, and it's something I'm very proud of the series. So I'm very happy with the work I've put into it and the people that have collaborated with me on it. And yeah, I'm gonna keep doing the series as long as I can. And it's grateful to have everybody who's supporting me and doing it. So that's been really cool. So I'm pretty happy about that, and it just means a lot to me. So it's really.
I've only met Bandit a couple of times, but what a great dog. Totally chill, great crew member, and as far as I can tell, had like the best dog life ever. So here's to you, Bandit.
My favorite Bandit memory would probably have to be when you came to Bluff Creek, Ron, you and Bandit, and me and Stevie and you went out Bigfooting for like the first time, and we were playing some music in the car, and I had this bullhorn, and I was like blaring it, that siren thing really loud. We were all like kind of yelling and everything, and then Bandit was like howling to it. I thought that was like pretty funny, but yeah, that was a good time for sure. So good times with a good dog. Not forgotten though.
Hey Ron, I was really sorry to hear about Bandit, man. He was a really great dog. He lived an awesome life as an awesome adventurer. I mean, he saw so many things that most people haven't had the chance to see. That being said, I just wanted to share my favorite moment with Bandit. In general, that whole trip, that P&W trip back in 2021, where it was a bunch of us from Bluff Creek and later on in Oregon. We had such a great time with Bandit. He was just enjoying his life and taking hikes with us to that lake. Was it like Timothy Lake or something like that we ended up hiking to in Oregon? There was a time where we were hiking down to the Patterson-Gimlin film site, and I ended up actually tripping and almost falling down into the ravine. And as I'm trying to get up, I remember Bandit pushing his way in and kind of pushing me again, which was pretty funny. But the coolest memory was, of course, that whoop that I heard at Louse Camp after we had that incident with Bandit where he sort of was kind of freaking out a little bit, had his tail between his legs. He wasn't listening. We had to take Jonathan's belt and use it as a leash to get Bandit back to camp. It was when people were hearing knocks and other weird stuff around when we were with a whole bunch of people. But once we got back to camp, Bandit was hanging out in the corner of where you guys were camped, and I just happened to be filming, and I walked up to him and was saying, "Hey, you okay, man?" He was wagging his tail at that point, feeling a little more normal, and that's when I heard that really weird whoop, and I saw Bandit react to that too. Nobody else apparently heard it, even people that were like 10 feet from me. I said, "Hey, did anybody else hear that whoop?" And nobody heard it. At the time, we thought it was a person, but once we started asking around, it seemed a little less likely. I still can't say 100%, but it was a really cool incident, and it was a fun memory I'll never forget. Still probably one of the clearest whoops, if we want to call it that I heard. And it was really cool that it was basically because of Bandit, because I went to check on him, and he heard it too. I remember seeing him react to it, kind of look up, because we both had kind kind of reacted, and luckily I was filming at that moment. So that was my favorite moment with Bandit. Obviously, there were a bunch that we had on that trip, as I said, but just wanted to say, man, hang in there. I know it's not easy, but he's obviously enjoying himself, hiking in another place now, and he had a great life. So sorry to hear, man, again, and yeah, hang in there.
My absolute favorite Bandit memory, I think, is when we went on that mountain, that steep mountain. We were following those two mushroom picker guys to the Sasquatch nests at the bottom, right? And everyone was super wiped out afterwards. It was such a huge hike. And we ended up all going back up to the top after we found nothing. And I remember Tate wanted to go back to get something from his car. So we ended up going. I went with him, and Bandit was with us. We were both in the back seat, and Tate was driving, and I was exhausted, so I just kind of laid my head down like this next to him, next to Bandit, and I don't know, and then I just fell asleep on top of him. And then I remember Tate telling me that I was laying on top of Bandit like the whole ride back, and he was sleeping next to me, and I'll always remember that, waking up and just seeing him, and he was a cutie patootie.
Hey Ron, I'm sorry about your loss. Bandit was a great dog. I remember camping out at Bluff Creek with him and him being a real trooper and out hiking me. He was an amazing animal, and I know he will be missed by lots of people and all the people he met, and definitely I'm one of them. So just thought I'd do this little video to let you know I'm thinking about you, bro. Peace.
Bandit, even for the short time I knew him, like, really helped me out a lot, especially while we were out camping. Like, I would get scared of noises and stuff like that, like when I was trying to sleep, and I'd always like look to him to see if he reacted to those noises, and if he didn't, I knew it was okay, stuff like that. Or if we ever had a hard day at work, he'd always be like silly. We'd come home and he'd be rolling around on the floor or like nudging everything in the house real aggressively, and it would make us laugh. And going for walks with him was always nice, even though some days I wasn't up for it. Like the first day I ever met him, Ron invited me on a walk with him, and he really helped me that day because I was having a hard day. He was just always like more of a friend than a pet. And he was like the best dog I've ever met, and he will be missed. Like even in the old age I met him, he impressed me consistently with how intelligent he was, and he will be very missed.
Hey Ron, this is Jeremiah. Just wanted to give a few words regarding Bandit. I was a heck of a dog. I did not get to spend a lot of time with Bandit, but one event comes to mind is when we were all at a certain location in Iowa, and I believe it was myself, yourself, and Bandit went off during the night expedition, and just to see how Bandit handled himself was fascinating. Not going too far ahead, being very low key, but also ready to step in if things got out of control. I'm sure if we had been out there and there had been some type of animal that had rushed us, Bandit would have been all over it. So again, it's just a great dog, and I know it was a huge loss for all of us, but just wanted to remember Bandit in a special way through this. So